Welcome, everybody. It's Rick DiClemente, and I'm in the Pittsburgh area. And welcome to Astrology Unplugged, a very interesting eve of the inauguration. And tonight I will be focusing pretty much on three separate topics. I've been studying recently the midpoint chart between the United States chart and the Donald Trump chart, and I found some very intriguing charts. We're going to start with that. Secondly, I would like to take a look at tonight the chart of the noon tomorrow. He may get inaugurated at 12:04. He may get inaugurated at 12:05, 12 o'clock. I don't know. We'll get that birth time when we do. But it's a chart, no matter within 5-10 minutes, it's not going to change that much. Thirdly, I would like to do Nika's chart, one of our good group members. And the reason why is I want to keep showing you charts. We're not just going to talk generally about astrology. You need to see chart after chart after chart after chart. That's how you get good. Okay? So I'm going to start right away by talking about composite charts. I've done tens of thousands of these. They are sometimes really good, sometimes they're kind of fair, but usually they're indicative of something, and some of them are so accurate they blow you away. A composite chart is taking Elke's sun in Cancer and my sun in Capricorn, and the computer figures out the midpoint, either in Libra or in Aries. Take Elke's moon here and my moon here, the computer figures out the midpoint. I'm going to ask all of you to keep your audio muted because we do get a lot of interference. So the midpoint chart would be what you would do with Lennon and McCartney. It tells you what the Lennon and McCartney chart is like, which is different than Lennon. It's different than McCartney. It's the duo itself. These can be very, very telling. This is not the same as taking two charts and doing synastry. Synastry means my Mars is square to your Mars, your moon is opposite my moon, and doing aspect to aspect, that's a completely different science. So usually when you're mixing people together, you're doing one of the two. You're either doing synastry or you're doing composites. But I found such a overwhelming chart when I mix the two together that's why I'm going right to this now. Okay, we're going to share a screen. And we're going to go right to, okay, here's the United States. Do you see the moon over here by itself? I'm looking at Kathy. Kathy's the only one I can see. Do you see the moon there? Okay. This is a really, really, really troubled chart. This is a mixture of Mr. Trump's chart with the United States chart. And you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, you see 5 planets. 5 planets in the 12th house. But the thing about the chart that is so amazingly powerful is the moon is all by itself. Not only is the moon all by itself, it's right on the angle. This is the ascendant, this is the descendant. This is the midheaven, this is the nadir. This is, remember, the midpoints between their two charts. And when the moon is all by itself, and keep in mind, look down here, where is Pluto right now? Pluto is at 1735 Capricorn. This moon is at 1942. Pluto is just about to approach the moon. In the composite charts and in general in astrology, the moon represents the masses. Okay, well, when you have so much Cancerian energy, you have big time codependency, and that's what's going on with this election. Whether you are for Hillary, against Hillary, for whomever, I don't care who you're for. This chart is a chart of codependency. And what this chart does, when it has too much Cancer energy in it, people are going to put their head in the sand and they're going to have a relationship with Mr. Trump because He seems like he's the one who will protect me. I don't care if he makes fun of menstruation. I don't care if he makes fun of walking down the street and carrying a gun. I don't care if he makes fun of somebody who is disabled. People are going to look past everything because somehow he makes us feel like he'll protect us. That's the problem when the moon is too strong. The Cancer qualities are too strong. And as you know, the nation is a Cancer. We tend to put our head in the sand. We don't cause any problems around the world. We're the good guys. And I'm not even going to go on about this. This is so strong. And Pluto's heading to the moon, and it won't hit that moon for 1 year. I cannot say to you he'll be okay for the first year, and after 1 year that he's going to come down. That's not what I'm going to say. The problem with a super codependent relationship is I'll hide behind you, and you hide behind me, and we'll be okay. That's the problem. It's not healthy. The chart is not balanced. The chart leans way much to the moon. Moon people say what? Like it or leave. Love it or leave. It's too nationalistic. It is not honest. It's not looking at things honestly with open eyes and open judgment. The chart is too tilted to the moon. Now, I'm not going to say anything else about it because it's so unbelievably strong that we'll just live and see. The good side, there really aren't many good sides to it, but the good side is protectionism. The good side is making us first, but actually making us first is what the problem is. I don't want to go on about it. Too volatile of a subject. I'm going to go on to the next piece. Tomorrow's chart is astounding. I've published this at least 2, 3, 4 times now on my newsletters and on my Facebook page. It is the noon chart for the inauguration. Okay, you should all be able to see that. Do you see the sun at the top of the chart? Kathy? Kathy, you're the only one I can see. Okay. Okay, you see 4 planets in Pisces in the 11th house. Very, very rare. What you want to focus on is this. Here's Uranus opposite Jupiter. 22 degrees, 21 degrees, 23 degrees, approximately 21, 22, 23. These are 2 rebel planets. This is what I call Thelma and Louise. They're going to raise hell just because they can raise hell. They're not going down without a fight. And they're in the houses 6 and 12. Those are the houses of service. So you've got this radical revolution going on from these 2 planets in houses 6 or 12. This is anywhere from all the uproot, all the grassroots campaigns that you're seeing swirling. This is people that have good ideas about revolutions and people that got some bad ideas about revolution. But it's all of that. This is the people with revolution. And Lord knows with the state of the country, revolution is necessary. And we have small r revolutions and capital R revolutions. So what's so intriguing about that? And that's going to be short-lived. That's only going to go on for a few more months because Jupiter's going to move fast. What's so intriguing about that Jupiter-Uranus, which is why the Mercury retrograde was so nuts. We just came back from New Mexico, and the Mercury retrograde was going on at the same time that Jupiter and Uranus were opposite each other, and every single thing we did was chaos. I could hand you a pen from my right hand to my left hand, and there would be chaos. everything we did turned to chaos. That was not because of Mercury retrograde. See, you hear a lot about the Mercury retrograde. You hear a lot about the moon. These are very minor planets. But when they're going on at the same time that these crazy Jupiter, Uranus, powerful energies are going on, that's why the Mercury retrograde was so chaotic. And we're still in a shadow period till I believe the 29th. So we get back to this chart, which has the Jupiter, Uranus, the unsettling revolution stirring, all types, you can feel it all the way around you, the uncertainty. When we go back to the chart, what do we see? Okay, the Jupiter squares Pluto, 17, Pluto. The Uranus squares Pluto. This is the triangle. Uranus to Pluto to Jupiter. Uranus to Jupiter to Pluto. That black triangle is the threat. That's the main stem. Pluto is moving very slowly. It's at 17 degrees. It's been in Capricorn since 2008. It has till 2023. It is fixed in time tomorrow. This is the birth chart of the next 4 years for the planet. Not for Trump, not for the US, the whole planet. Why? Because he's the head of the country and he's the head of the world, at least in some ways. So his presidency is marked and will be monitored by this chart for the next 4 years without a doubt. There will be other charts that come and go, but this will be the footprint of his presidency. Pluto and Capricorn. We have many, 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 many sides to this. We've talked about this a lot. This is putting the foot down in the house of the law, putting the foot down for firmer laws, putting the foot down for becoming more austere with education. This is the ninth house. Travel, education, government, philosophy, law. We're going without a Supreme Court justice. Not only is Pluto there, but Pluto is heading to the top of the chart. Pluto will be at the top of the chart in a couple of years. And when Pluto gets to the top of the chart, Pluto is the base word for plutocracy, which is a country being led by the people with the big money. So you can see clearly that the big money stuff is trying to control the Jupiter-Uranus. The Jupiter-Uranus is trying to revolt against the Pluto. So this dynamic triangle is going to be the heart of what goes on for the next 4 years. You cannot say this will happen, that won't happen. Many, many, many things are possible. You're going to have a lot of good, you're going to have a lot of bad, but you're going to have a lot of people trying to put down the laws to outlaw certain things. To me, the Jupiter-Uranus is without a doubt symbolic of social media. We got to learn to control the media. We got to learn to control the media. I got to meet with Intel. Got to find out what ways we can do that. First Amendment's being threatened. So many amendments are being threatened. So that triangle is critical. That triangle is the centerpiece of our success or failure over the next 4 years, because Jupiter and Uranus by itself, you don't want it controlling anybody. It's just too revolutionary. So we need things to work out. And at first there is revolution. And in time, it will calm down and we will start to get to a modicum of balance, yes. But the other theme that's going on, are all the 4 or 5 planets in Pisces in the 11th house. Completely different story. That would be these here. Do you see all the Pisces planets? Okay. Neptune, Venus, Chiron, Mars. Zoom in closely. 10 degrees, 17, 21, 24. Look at the Chiron right between Venus and Mars. 4 degrees away, 3 degrees away. This is a very powerful, pizzazz, charismatic download of grace. Please mute your sound when you come in, because I'm hearing, okay, I'm getting background noise. Okay. You cannot predict Pisces energy, but it's exactly what I thought it would be. It is someone, something is watching us from on high. It's many things. It's in the 11th house of friendships and group activity. It's the house of organization, hopes and wishes. It's the house of the people. So here you got this triangle of Jupiter, Uranus, and Pluto. And here you got these 4 planets in Pisces. I don't really care what's in the rest of the chart. This is so powerful. 2 themes are so strong. You've got the battle going on with the plutocracy, and you've got the rising of the quiet, nonviolent Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King type of mentality. Not a revolution with guns, a revolution with peace and with knowledge and with sharing. And I think we all can see without a doubt that we're in need of a complete rehaul, but we also know we can't do it the way we used to do it. And what that moon chart showed us in that midpoint chart, the reason it's so frightening, that chart wants us to go back, put our head in the sand, go bomb those other countries, they'll shut up and we'll be okay. That ain't going to work. That's the trouble with that chart. So we're in the midst of tremendous stirring of energies. In the chart for tomorrow, there's a lot of hope there. There's a lot of possibility there. You've got the tremendous download of all the Pisces energy. Pisces energy is so difficult to talk about. It's like the Christ energy. It's like the Christ consciousness energy. It has no ability whatsoever to differentiate between people. It can only think in terms of oneness. And the Pluto energy could care less about the oneness. The Pluto energy is about domination, fist, Stalin-esque. Not Neptune. Neptune is the energy that brought us St. Francis, or brought us Pope Francis. So I think without an astrology chart, you could look around, you could see these things happening already. Who's going to win? Well, I don't know, but I sure am enthused and happy to see people like you sitting here talking, thinking, sharing. You know, I think we're seeing a lot of scared people. That's the trouble with the moon chart. The moon chart doesn't want anything to change. Let's go back, make America great again. Well, I sure would like things to be great again, but not in terms of retreat. Could I put up which chart? Well, I could put Pence's chart up, but it's pretty sickening. It's an awful chart. It's not a good chart. Let me take a look into that. Pence is one thing on the outside. On the inside, he is a company man. So, the really great thing in all this, the great story, is what all the Pisces planets are doing in the 11th house. The 11th house is very, very underrated. We read about the houses in astrology. It's my opinion that most of them are really mislabeled. They're misunderstood. The 11th house is the house of hopes and wishes, and you and your brothers, and you and your like your brotherhood, and you and your institutions, and you and your organizations. But it really is. Hold on a minute, please. Is there anything in Trump's chart to show him distancing himself from the presidency and leaving the work to Pence? There's a lot. There's a lot in his chart. There's a lot in Trump's chart that shows him being evasive. But the thing about Trump is he is absolutely unpredictable. He couldn't be predictable if he wanted to be predictable. He's in pieces. There is no Trump. He is a man in little pieces, which is why he changes his tune every day. Pence's chart's not much different. But if you're asking, is Trump going to go to the side and allow Pence to come in and do the work? Who knows? I don't know. I mean, he's a double Gemini himself, right? With Venus and Mars in Leo, Mr. Pence. Getting back to the point. So the twofold energies, they're really massive energies over the next 4 years, is this battle with the plutocracy, the people with the big money. Also, the people with the big money trying to change things. They have good habits and good natures too. They're trying to change things, make things better for all. Then you've got the huge energy that's going on in Pisces. So in Pisces, we're going to be influenced to bring out our stronger side. The revolutionary side is what's getting us off our butt. That's taken quite a while to get us off our butt because we have become a very lackadaisical, complacent country. So all these energies are going on at once. They're all going on at once. So I'm going to end this discussion about this part now, and I'm going to go into excuse me a second. I'm going to go into the part about the sun signs because I promised you that. Before I do, any questions about those charts? Any questions about the charts I've shown you? The midpoint chart or Tamar's chart? Then I'm going to go into how the sun signs are doing one thing. Helena? Yeah, Helena.
Hi. Oh, I was just, let's see. Unmute me.
You're unmuted.
Massive demonstration going on in DC.
Did you want to say something, Helena?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't raising my hand. I was telling my friend over here, there's a massive demonstration in DC going on right now. So.
Okay, that's all right.
But I'm listening.
Is the midpoint chart on my Facebook page? No. Who else has a question? Karen, you're unmuted.
When you want the time for the birth tomorrow, do you want when he finally says I do on the Bible?
I don't know. You're going to have to probably write down 2 or 3 times. That's a good question. Usually in your heart you can tell, boom, that's it. Usually it's in your heart. You can tell.
Okay.
So do what you can. What questions do you guys have? Now that you've seen the midpoint chart with all the moon, you see all the plutocracy in Tamar's chart, and you see all the Pisces. What charts do you have? Is there anything that indicates whether commerce breaks with it? Susan, you have to understand, I do not do predictions. I do not look ahead and tell you what will happen, because that's what old-time astrologers do, and when you have free will, you can't look ahead and tell you what will happen. We can see with Mr. Trump Mr. Trump is Mr. Capital Evasive. He's going to BS his way through everything. He's going to sweet talk his way to selling you a used car. That's his MO. But we cannot predict what he will do. Can I see a state of health? Certainly. How would your health be if you were in 1,000 pieces? How would your health be? Talk to Elke. Elke's a health expert. Health comes to us who are whole. Health deteriorates as the personality deteriorates. Okay? Stop looking at astrology for concrete answers. That's not how it works. Astrology is about archetypal. Yes, Suzanne.
I have an archetypal question. The moon being so prominent on inauguration day, does that fortify?
The moon is not prominent. It's
what?
not prominent. The moon is prominent in the midpoint chart, not on our inauguration day.
Oh, okay, in the midpoint chart. Well, being on the midpoint chart like that, does that strengthen the feminine aspect?
It means that the feminine aspect is going to be a large issue, but in a midpoint chart, it means nothing but codependency. When the moon is really, really strong, it's, oh, I can't stand you taking a bump. I can't stand you taking a bump. I will lift you up. We can't have you fall down. And there's this agreed upon overprotectionism between the two. And they don't say it in the book, but the moon is the planet of conditional love. The moon is the opposite of Neptune. Neptune is unconditional love. If you've ever gotten bad with a Cancer, tell me how far you went till it became conditional. I love you this far if. Not with Neptune people. I love you anyway, no matter what. That's why codependent relationships blow up. You reach the if point. Does that make sense, Suzanne? That's what's so dangerous. Well, the reason I remark so strongly is the moon is just so strong. You don't mind a strong moon and other things being Mars being strong and Saturn and being balanced, etc. But when it's like the main planet and 5, 6 planets are in the 12th house, it's not that Trump is scary. It's the relationship between him and the country. That's what's frightening. That's what's frightening. Wondering now, breaking the president, he doesn't feel he gets a love. Everything about Trump, because of Venus and Saturn and Cancer in his chart, is about feeling that he's not getting what he deserves. And I will show you. I'm not getting the love I think I deserve, and I will show you. And I will show you, and I will show you. And that's the Mars and Leo in his chart. I will show you because you don't give me what I need. I'll discard you from my my press conference. You don't treat me fairly. It's like a little boy. Okay, I'm going to get off of this. This is an old subject. It's just going to get older and older and older. Now, I wanted to tell you, I tried very hard while writing the book, The Exquisite Zodiac. I tried to make a full chapter out of this topic, and I was unable to completely because it's very difficult. And I'm talking about how all signs are always doing one thing. In some signs, it's very simple. Other signs are doing a couple, but it's got the same theme. I want you to pay attention to the theme. And when you think of the Aries people, we'll go Aries through the zodiac right now. Think of the Aries people that you know in your life. Okay? They cannot help but do this. The Taurus people can't help it. The Cancer people can't help. This is what you're made of. This is your main energy. And the Exquisite Zodiac explains it very clearly why these signs are doing what they're doing. Aries people, They're always testing themselves. They're always on adventure to see what they can do to impress themselves. That's what they do. You're a new soul. Imagine there's nothing, then all of a sudden there's you. You're the first. Well, you're enamored with yourself. And I always use the analogy of my little boy when he was young, and he came up to Dad with a piece of wood, and he had a nail, and he took his hammer, and he put the nail in the piece of wood, and he handed it to me and said, "Look what I did, Dad. Wow, look what I did." That's Aries. Don't make it any more complex than that. That's Aries. They're fascinated with themselves. Now, you could take it too far, and you could dominate the whole family at all times talking about you. It could go too far with some Aries. Other Aries are much more pleasant. Usually they're a very pleasant sign, but they're enamored with what they can do. They're always on adventure. They can't stand anybody in their way. Get out of my way because I'm on my adventure. Now, who knows Aries people? Now, does this make any sense to you? Huh? And it isn't any more complex than that. And I really had to learn to be flexible in the old brain while writing those 12 different chapters because they're all so different. That's not to say that they can't do incredible things like Ram Dass did and Hillman did and Da Vinci did and all these phenomenal Aries that we've had, but they don't become phenomenal because the Aries, they become phenomenal because they're contact to Neptune and they're contact to Uranus and they're contact to Pluto. If you're doing phenomenal things in the universe, you've got heavy duty aspects to Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. That's where the big stuff comes from. Otherwise, Aries are out riding in their motorcycle and totally content in a very simple world.
Can I say one thing? I know several Aries who are strong leaders.
Sure.
That they are, I am who I am, but they bring others with them.
Yeah, but you got to be very wary of Aries because they seem very confident. They seem very confident. But if you look a little deeper, they're not gathering all the facts. They just will not hesitate. They will not spend time looking at the obstacles and taking the obstacles seriously.
Right. Uh-huh.
They oversimplify things. Thank you, Pat. Okay, but that's basically what Aries does. I'm not trying to belittle any sign. I'm trying to tell you at the heart of each sign, Aries, I know, needs to be right. All three fire signs need to be right. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. They're almost always right. That's the nature of the ego. Of course, they're not. I've always said Aries think they're right, and oftentimes they're not. Leos think they're right, and many times they're not. Virgos think they're right, and they're almost right, almost always. Scorpios want to be wrong all the time, but they're always right. So they want you to think. They want you to think that they're being wrong, but they're really right. Very complex zodiac. Taurus. What is Taurus doing? All the time, what is Taurus doing? They're anchoring. They're anchoring. They're bringing down what Aries started, and they're anchoring. Come have a seat. Let me get you a sandwich. Let me get you a cup of tea. Let me help you get the property. Let me help you build that back porch. Let's get you anchored. Are you settled? They settle things. I mean, I have it so nice because I do my work, and John on the screen, John does all my emails for me, and I know when I got to send out a message. I provide John with the stuff. John sends the stuff out. We stay in nice sync with each other. I teach him lessons, and we have a very good rapport. Taurus is anchor stuff. Don't try to hurry him. Don't try to push him. Don't try to make things complex. Who knows Tauruses? Come on, who knows Tauruses? Is that true? You don't push them. They're not in a hurry. They don't trust you. We get a dog on the screen. What sign is a dog? Leo?
Leo.
Okay. We'll make sure he stays on the screen then. Okay. That's what Tauruses do. Why? Because Aries have stirred things up so much, something has to come in and anchor it. That's what Tauruses do. The perfect, well, if you look at the dark shadow side of it, you can even see the light shadow side of it when you think of Archie Bunker's chair. Archie Bunker is the typical archetype of Taurus. Now, he goes too far with it, with his opinions, etc. Takes 10 days to get used to a new idea and accept it. That's exactly right. And Tauruses think you're nuts when you think of something fast and you accept it. It happens too quickly. But you get to know a Taurus through time, and they will call you 50 years later, 60 years later, 65 years later to see how you are. They're steady and they're good. Okay, Gemini. What are Geminis always doing? They're always going over the next fence. What's over the next fence? Ooh, that must be neater. Ooh, that must be neater. Ooh, that must be neater. That's it. That's what they're always doing. No, they're not always connecting. That's Aquarian. Somewhat connecting. It's a little more complex than that. Geminis are exploring and they can't stand being stuck. They're exploring, but they live in the future. Most of them live in the future. They can't stand being here and now. They want to go to the next, go to the next, go to the next, go to the next. And this is why you see this with Trump. Trump cannot take a stance. He cannot take a stance. His sun is next to Uranus. His Mercury is next to Uranus. And they're both opposite the moon in Sagittarius. These are all additional symbols that he can't take a stance. They're not made to take a stance. They're made to explore, made to explore, made to explore. And that's why you can't pin them down, and that's why they get evasive. Does it sound true to the Geminis you know? Does it? Cancer. Well, the zodiac is so fascinating. Cancer. What do cancers do? What are they always doing? They take care and they make sure that I'm okay. That's what cancers do. People think they're greedy. People think they're selfish. People think they're snobbish. Sometimes they can be, but you have to have this energy. Cancer needs to take care of itself. Go home, chicken soup, get the blankie, get the hot tea, take care of yourself. That's the wonderful energy of Cancer. Okay, let's see. We've got a new sound coming through somewhere. Okay. That's what Cancer does. That's the problem the United States has. The GOP party is a Cancer party with a moon in Scorpio, and too much of the GOP leans towards taking care of myself. Let those that don't have anything, let them take care of themselves. Let them find it somewhere. I got mine, go get yours. And we're seeing it backfire planet-wide now. It's a tough strain on Cancer. Elke and I had a long talk about Cancer today. Well, yes, Susan, that's very common. They say no to anything and say yes to things later on. You have to understand, I'm going to expand. I told this story to Elke today. I used to have two friends. They were married and they're both Cancers. And they were nice people and they liked me. But when I went to the house, I was friendlier with the male, and the wife couldn't wait till I left. She was not being mean. She wasn't anti-me. She wanted me gone so she would have the circle back together. The safe bubble circle of Cancer. She wasn't mean about it. I thought she was nice, actually. But I could get the vibe. The sooner you leave, the better. I can then close the door, lock the door. I got daddy here, I got the kids here, and we're all safe. That's Cancer's mentality. You can't blame him for that. But it's going to come into natural trouble because you have to let the outer world in. You have to breathe. And that's what's going on with the Americas. And that all busted through at 9/11. That was the puncture. Okay, so Cancer moves on. What is Leo always doing? And everybody wants to say Leo's always looking for the limelight. That's not true. It's not what Leo's doing. Who knows Leo's? Leo is always looking for affirmation and validation outside themselves. This is their goal. They got to learn to validate themselves inside. And when I get a Leo who's starting to validate themselves inside, I got victory with them. They can do anything. They are made, here's what Leo is given. Leo is given, you're not the problem. It's them that's the problem. It ain't you. Okay? It ain't you. What, are you talking to me? Can't be me. And they get a cockiness. They get a built-in, I'm okay. There's nothing wrong with me. It's got to be you. Well, that can be a very healthy thing juxtaposed to Cancer the sign before it. But when it gets out of hand, then you get your A-Rod, then you get your Barry Bonds, then you get your really arrogant types of Leos with Fidel Castro, with Mussolini, with so many of the Leonine types, where they're just never wrong. And then they become unreal. Okay, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time to go into a lot of personal chats because I got to get to Ninka's chart. Okay, so that's what Leos do. And what they do is they grow in confidence. That's what Leo does. It grows in confidence. Each sign has a job to do in the zodiac. And that's all covered in the exquisite zodiac. And each little contribution, 1/12 each. What does Virgo do? What Virgos now? I'm sure we all got a lot of Virgos. And we're not going to let Karen S. here, we're not going to let her comment. What? I love you, Karen. What are Virgos always doing? It's a 3-letter word, and it ends with X, and it ain't sex. It's fix. They're always fixing things. They're always fixing things. And that's really nice if something's broken. No, clarifies, they're fixing. Fixing. What you said, fixing what you made, fixing how you did that, fixing what you're for supper, fixing what's in the workshop, fixing the car. They got to go fix stuff. That's their talent. But the problem with it is what? That it's based on the assumption that there's always something wrong. Oh, there's the problem. Well, if I would just fix this, we would be okay. But that's not true. If you make 10 widgets today and you make 600 widgets tomorrow, we'll all be better, won't we? No. Sometimes fixing is not the answer as we go flowing down the zodiac. Thank God we got the Virgos. They're the ones that fix things. They're the ones that are accurate. And I would throw in with Virgos, they care. They care. What's the other word? They care, and I got to do all this myself. Detail people, yes. They care, and they, I can't remember.
They serve.
Yeah, they do serve. They care, and they are perfectionists, and they do serve, yeah. And they do what, in their mind, they do what's right. Criticize is secondary, yes. Criticize is just part of fixing. Okay, then you get to Libra. Libra is very, very, very misunderstood. And everybody in the world will say, harmonize and balance. harmonize and balance. Well, I'll tell you what they do. They socialize and they compare. That's what they do. They socialize and they compare. That's what Libra does. They're always putting themselves and everything around them on a social scale. How does this fit in society? And they compare everything. That's why the scales. You're bigger, I'm smaller, your house is bigger, mine is richer, my job's better, my girl's prettier, my shoes are better. How is it on the social scale? How are we going to look? Remember now, I'm talking about the basic sun sign, okay? Can you see that now with the Libras you know? That's what they do. They compare. That's how they get smart. They compare this and that. A very smart sign. Almost all Libras have very attractive partners. And they all have good jobs. Almost all of them. Almost all of them. They're almost always married to somebody very intelligent because they have to have a wonderful, strong sounding board. But see, what Libra is doing now is getting us ready to go out into the world. Now, don't jump on this word here. But what are Scorpios always doing? And it ain't the word you're thinking. What are Scorpios always doing? It's kind of a tough sign to pick one word.
Investigating.
Investigating is a good word. Thank you, Louise. I think that's a very good word. They're merging. They're merging. Libra and Scorpio are tied at the hip. What Libra starts by, hi, honey, nice to meet you here at the country club. Why don't you come back to my house? That's when the Scorpio takes over. While you're at the country club with the cocktail glasses, that's the two Libras. While you go back to my place, then the two Scorpios take over. And it's, you know, there's so much obsession in this culture with sex. In my business, it's not about sex, hardly ever. It's about intimacy. That's what people want. They want to be intimate. They want to be close to somebody. Somebody close to me that cares about me. And the Scorpio urge is a very tough urge because I'm going to give you everything I got. But the problem with Scorpio is they get so devoted that they expect the partner to be just as devoted. Natural, but not every partner can do that. That's why Scorpios are so hung up on the B word. What's the B word? They're hung up on one word that starts with B. Betrayal. Their hearts are broken if you betray them. Now, there is betrayal, and then there's betrayal. There's betrayal, which is really real, and there's other betrayal, which is really based upon expecting too much. But the wonderful thing that happens in Scorpio is that you start to learn to be able to merge with another person. We're growing up. We're getting bigger. We're getting stronger. But that's what Scorpios are about. They're always talking about meaning more, having more meaning, having more depth. Now, this is a hard one to do. Sagittarius. And I'm not going to say playing. They're not always playing. Capricorn's easy. Sagittarius not easy. Sagittarius is always expanding. It's just always expanding. If you watch a Sagittarian child, they'll just jump up and down on their bed for hours like this. And their hands are going like this. I'm serious. Sagittarians just bounce all day. They do. This is existential. This is part of their nature. They're bouncing. They're loving. They're expanding. They're so joyous because they are pre-Saturnian. And I believe somewhere in their subconscious mind they know that. They know Saturn's coming. They know somebody's going to tell them to quit jumping up and down on the bed. So let's jump while we can. You know, when you were little and you're just jumping on the bed, it just feels good. Well, I don't want to make a clown out of them. That's not. But you get many things from that jumping. You get experience. You get travel. You get to meet other countries. You get to expand your philosophy. I've had so many people come to me, Sages, say, what do you want to do? I want to travel. Where do you want to go? And they all say, I don't care. I just want to go. That's what they say. Almost every one of them. I just want to go. Let's hurry through because I want to get the Nika's chart. Capricorn. This was an easy one for me, and I is one. This took me a lot of work, and I boiled this whole sign down. My dad was one. My former wife was one. I know a lot about Capricorn. Capricorns are always doing one thing, and that's making sure. Similar to Virgo, who's fixing, we make sure. Did you make sure you had the right amount on? Did you make sure you put your rubbers on your feet? Did you make sure you filled out that form? Did you make sure the car has gas in it? Did you make sure you said the right thing? Did you make How many Capricorns do you know? And that's all they say. Come on, Jamie. You know them, right? That's all they say, right? Make sure. Make sure, make sure, make sure. Well, that's because they're very fatherly and they're dutiful and they're responsible. It's a wonderful trait. That's why they make sure. But what does it say once again about trusting God? Well, God, you're not giving me very good stuff. I got to make sure over here. Virgo, you're not giving me much good stuff. I got to go fix it. That's the problem with the earth signs. That's the problem with the earth signs. The earth signs corral stuff and work on it themselves, and they automatically disconnect from the universe. And that's why earth signs have trouble with transcendental issues, unless the Neptune is strong or something like that. Moving on, I'm sorry. Hello, Colleen. I'm sorry I can't get to all your chats. I have 30 chats here, but I'm trying to get through the zodiac. The next sign is Aquarius. Aquarius is pretty easy. Very, very underrated sign. Very underrated sign. One of the greatest signs there is in a lot of ways. They're putting together the big mental picture. They're realizing the ramifications. If this is true and that is true, then do you realize what that means? Well, you ask a Gemini, if this is true and that is true, and the Gemini says, so what? I don't be bothered with it. You tell an Aquarian, well, if that's true and that's true, wow, I realize what that means. That's why they're the aha sign, right? They're the light bulb going off. They're the brilliant inventors. That's what they're doing. They love to be different. Of course they do. They're the sign called Contrarius. They are putting together the big mental picture. This is why on the one hand, you got your Ed Schultz, you got your FDR, you got your Lincoln. On the other side, you've got Aquarians that you don't want to listen to. Paul Ryan, people who are they're so condensed and they're so, Glenn Beck, they are so convinced that their mental world is the world. You cannot argue with an Aquarian. You can't do it because they spend so much time putting that big picture together. Okay. We'll get on to the next part here. 1 second. Charlton Heston was a Libra, I believe. Final sign, Pisces. So hard to understand. The entire book, The Exquisite Zodiac, is written about Pisces. The original title of The Exquisite Zodiac was Pisces, the Ultimate Sign. By the way, The Exquisite Zodiac is free. Its electronic copy is free on my website, which is starself.com. If you would like to have a free PDF copy, just go there and you can download it free to your computer. You can still buy it in book form through my website also, starself.com. Okay. Pisces wants to let go. You know, I've talked about it in the book, and everyone I've talked to, that's how I get good at astrology, is I ask people, is this true? No. Is that true? No. I don't buy the stuff I read. I ask tons of people, is this true? I interview people. Guess that's all my Libra, Suzanne, why I interview. Pisces wants to be left alone. They want to be left alone. That doesn't mean they're unfriendly. There's a place in their heart for everybody. That when they're alone, they're with God. I'm not saying anymore. That's what it's about. Call it what you want. Call it heroin. Call it cocaine. Call it alcohol. Call it peace. Call it meditation. They want to be left alone in the oneness. And they can't stand the rest of us that are making such a fuss about every damn thing. I don't have enough money. I don't have the right job. Well, my girlfriend, she gained some weight. Oh, I don't like this politician. And they just can't stand the junk that we just go nuts over all this little stuff. And Pisces is so content. They want to get away from us. I'm going out with my pet butterfly and we're going to take a walk. And you could call them flaked out if you want to, but they're beautiful souls. Okay, enough said there. I promised Ninka. She's been very patient. I'm going to try to do one chart per week. By the way, before we move to her chart, I wanted to tell you about upcoming guests. We are going to be graced with Nook Sanchez. Will be one of our guests coming, who is one of the top Course in Miracle authors in the world. Just phenomenal. She's going to be talking to us about the end of death. I'm not making up words. She wrote a book called The End of Death. She wrote a book called Take Me to Truth. And she's going to be talking about what Jesus really did when he died on the cross and how he showed us that there was no death. She is an expert on the subject. We'll be talking to one of our partners, Sally Patton, who's going to be coming on. Sally is an expert in the new rebirth and birth of the feminine across the planet. She is also an absolute expert on A Course in Miracles. She also wrote a book called, I forget the name exactly, Your Child's Not Broken, Don't Try to Fix Them. She's an expert on indigo children. She's going to be coming on too. We're also going to have Kathy Pagano coming on, who's another expert on Jung and the shadow sides, and also on the rebirth of the feminine. So there's a lot coming your way about the feminine rebirth, because the men sure aren't getting it done, John. We're not getting it done. And we got to step aside. Okay, let's take a look at Ninka's chart. All right. Okay, Ninka's chart. Okay. Do you all see, Elke, can you see the ninth house stuff here? Okay. Here is Ninka. She is born in 1942. She is Sun in Sag. She's Pisces rising. She is Moon in Aquarius. That's a very nice combination, is it not? To have a Sun in Sag, a Moon in Aquarius, and Pisces rising. So you know she's a big personality. Sag is big, Moon in Aquarius is big, Pisces rising is big. Right next to her, she's got Venus in Sag. Very big sign. That means she's playful, fun-like. Okay, people with Sun next to Venus are almost always are full of the joy of life. They like to find fun in life. Okay, we see a bucket pattern rather clearly. I'm worried a little bit looking at the chart that there's not enough feeling here. There's not enough emotion here. But I look and I see a bucket pattern, and here's the moon by itself. So there's the feeling I need. Even though the moon's in Aquarius, The moon is strong, which gives her Cancer qualities. So I got the moon I need. Neptune is very strong, right on the angle. So we've got plenty of emotion in the chart. I once feared there wasn't enough emotion because of Sag, Aquarius. And I get the emotion from the moon and from the Neptune. Okay, we have a 9th house Sag. Sag is natural ruler of the 9th house. So we know that she's done a lot of schooling. She's a permanent reader. She loves to travel. She loves to educate herself. She never puts a book down. Okay, constantly learning. We've got a grand cross here. Moon, Mars, Chiron, Uranus. 2 crosses. This is called a grand cross. This is not a very tight cross. You got Mars opposite Uranus and Saturn. You got the moon opposite Chiron. It's a wide cross, which means it's not real tight guitar strings. They're kind of loose strings, which is what you want. You don't want it to be too strong. But you have very strong Gemini planets coming here, opposite Mars here. Okay, so what do we see? The first thing that strikes me, without a doubt, is the strongest planet in the chart is Neptune, because Neptune is right on that angle. And that angle is determined by the birth time. You could tell with the sun high in the sky that she's born near noon. She's born at 1:25 in the afternoon. If she were born near sunset, the sun would be over here. If she were born at sunrise, the sun in Sag would be over here. So this is the actual position of the planets at 1:25 in the afternoon. We know that she's extremely philosophical because she's got all of the Sag energy in its natural place, which is the 9th house. Now, I'm going to go a little deeper with this here. She's got some energy that I want to question. This is how she uses her energy. Mars is the planet that represents how you use your energy. Mars in Scorpio, this is really 28 Scorpio almost. Mars in Scorpio means she's very determined. When she's going to do something, she gets very one-pointed and she gets the job done. This is the exact opposite of what a Sag does. Sag is known, especially with all this Gemini, Sag is known for starting quitting. I'm bored with that, quit. So she's got this quit energy, but she's also got this fix. I'm going to just, you don't want to play a guy in chess that's got Mars and Scorpio, like Bobby Fischer had, because they're going to stay glued to their seat until you are defeated. But look at the Mars. The Mars is 27. It's right opposite Uranus. The Mars is right opposite Saturn. Look at the mixed messages that this Mars is going through. She's got an 8th house Mars, which is passionate. She wants to do something. She gets into doing it. And the Uranus and Gemini says, oh, well, let's go do something else. Gemini energy has no stick-to-itness. It wants to try something else. It gets bored real easy. My mother was a Gemini. First one to party, first one to leave. So she gets you want to go home. So why is Ninka got this energy that's very firm and fixed, but then it's not? But then it is, but then it's not. And then there's Saturn. Saturn helps her stay fixed. So it's kind of like whatever she did, whatever she does, she can't stick to it, even though she wants to stick to it. We don't know why. It's coming from the Saturn Uranus, and I would tell myself in a full reading, I would investigate her past life chart and see where this is coming from. Because obviously, whenever Ninka started to do something, it got some kind of flack. And I would interview about her parents and find out how supportive were they with her whenever she came up with an idea that she wanted to do something. This is kind of a person that always got double messages. Yeah, go do it. Well, don't do it. Well, go do it. Don't do it. She got these constant messages of do it, don't do it. And if it's from the parents, that means it's really from the past life. The parents play much less of a role than we think. Okay? The Neptune, gotta keep going back to the Neptune. The Neptune is right there at 2 degrees, right on the descendant. This is the 7th house of marriage. This is the 7th house of relationships. And what does Neptune say in all relationships? Go hang on the cross. You must have been too selfish. You're thinking about yourself too much, Ninka. Quit thinking about yourself. Give to them. Give to them. Give to them. Well, I want to go do what I want to do. Give to them. Oh, yeah, but I want to go do this. But you got to give to them. This is very, very common because we're coming out of an age, a huge age. You think we're coming into an age of Aquarius. We're coming out of a huge age of Pisces, which I renamed the age of mea culpa. I have seen so many thousands of charts that are coming out of the age of, I didn't brush enough, I didn't polish enough, I didn't work enough, didn't say enough prayers, I didn't kneel enough, I didn't do this enough, I smiled too much. We just are so unbelievably hard. Jesus suffered, I gotta suffer. That age is ending. And I think it's ending for Ninka now, or she wouldn't be on this screen now. I think she's coming to the end of the age of mea culpa. Now, I will deal with this personally. I don't want to do it here. But personally, I will dig into this with her about the Mars and the Uranus and Saturn, because it's almost like, I'm not going to say whatever she did, it wasn't right. That's more of a Virgo thing. But whatever she did, it got toppled. I don't care how long she spent putting her ducks in a row, something came along, knocked it over. Always. She careful, tediously put her ducks in a row, and something knocked it over. I don't know why. I will investigate and find out. Chiron is in Leo. It is in the 6th house. So she has pride in her work. The 6th house of work, the Leo pride. She has a lot of pride in her work. She has a lot of pride working with people. But what's really going on with this chart is very clear to me. This chart, when you have the 2nd house and the 8th house involved, Arroyo tells us the 2nd house is the house of self-worth. The 8th house is my worth when I'm with you. The sense of self-worth is always ping-ponging. Ping-a-pong, a ping-a-pong, a ping-a-pong. Now, I'm sure Ninka asks her what she thinks are the reasons, but I maintain the reasons are from a past life. And what it ends up always being is, philosophically, she's very philosophical, she always comes to the same conclusion. She's not being selfless enough. Not being selfless enough. Go hang on the cross some more. Go hang on the cross some more. And that answer doesn't work anymore. That's what's going on here. That answer doesn't work for most of us anymore. It's not working for the collective anymore. And what do you think, Ninka?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm verging on 75 years here, and I feel I've passed through a lot of this stuff. I get a lot done, and I give a lot.
Good. Wonderful. Now, this is not to say, you may have resolved this when you were 13 or when you're 47. It doesn't speak to that, but these are the central issues in the chart. What is this Mars thing in you where when you do things, it gets disrupted all the time? What is that all about?
That I'm not sure of. I'm not sure that happens, because I do get, when I set my mind to something, I get it done. Maybe I'm a little bit too perfectionist, but
Well, let's talk about that in privacy. I think that requires a lot more in-depth research. What's the big thing that's going on with you now?
I just got rid of some things in my life, people that were actually not good for me.
That sounds like a Pluto thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, made sense. It hurt, but I seemed to got over it fairly quickly.
Well, Pluto's up here, and we would have to look at your harmonic chart, which I'm not going to go into now. Well, you know, if you read in the books give you a big curse. I got a Grand Cross, you got a Grand Cross, and I got a Cardinal Cross, and the books tell you how awful it is and how terrible it's going to be. And that's why I studied astrology in 1971. Someone told me I had a Grand Cross, and oh, things are going to be awful. So I said, well, yeah, I'm going to fool you, and I'm going to start learning myself. And things have not been awful. But you do have a Grand Cross, and I find people with a Grand Cross to oftentimes be very successful because they have to work at things. Things do not blend harmoniously within you. It does take work. But I actually think your chart is pretty well balanced. It's got a strong enough moon. It's got a strong enough Neptune, hopefully not too strong. Tell me about your philosophy.
Oh, it's big. It's broad. It's all encompassing.
Sure, it's very big. It all has to do about the dignity of others, the rights of others, leave people alone, let them be who they are. Is that true?
Yes, very much.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, the big thing is going on with you now. As you know, Saturn's moving very quickly through this area. It's approaching the top of your chart later this year. That's a victorious culmination for Saturn. As it's going through your 9th house, you're reaching a peak, and that should be very, very good. Okay, hold on one moment. I'm going to take a fast break here. We're going to stop the recording. I'll be right back.